in the field of fertility and medical tourism, which is organized by TebMedTourism company, a medical facilitator company in Iran, and also with the help of Health Tourism Development Center of Islamic Countries, HTDC. Now, allow me to start this event by introducing myself. I am Zahra Ravish, the head of International Marketing Department of TebMedTourism Company, Iran. Joining me is Dr. Ali Bazazi, Medical Director and CEO of the TebMedTourism Company, and also Mr. Armin Shahriari, Deputy of International Corporation of HTDC. Our speakers include renowned experts from in the field of infertility from India, Pakistan, Turkey, and Iran, which they will be given time to introduce themselves later on. Now, before I start with the program, I want to hand over this session to Mr. Armin Shahriari to introduce HTDC. Mr. Shahriari, on to you. And one thing, I want all the other guests to please turn off your videos and mute your microphones. Thank you.
Hello, and good morning to the west, and good afternoon to the east. My name is Armin Shahriari, the Deputy of International Corporation of HTDC. HTDC is Health Tourism Development Center of Islamic Countries. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Bazazi and his professional team in TebMedTourism for hosting this international and online event. And if I want to briefly introduce Health Tourism Development Center of Islamic Countries, we have the main goal in HTDC to make networking between the countries, especially for the Islamic countries, to share the capacities and also finding the good cooperation between all the stakeholders and all the actors and activists in the industry of health and health tourism, to find the good opportunities of cooperation between these different countries.
Well, thank you, Ms. Zahra. Good afternoon, our honorable speakers and guests and participants of this event. Once again, I'm Dr. Ali Bazazi, Medical Doctor and the CEO of TebMedTourism Company with the brand name of Fly to Treat. TebMedTourism is an international healthcare facilitator company based in Iran. The purpose of this online event is to highlight the fertility abilities of the four mentioned countries, including India, Pakistan, Turkey, and Iran. They are popular not only within their local population, but also attract thousands of international medical travelers every year, and they provide these services for them. Hence, we have selected the most specialized fertility specialists as our speakers to get their view of this matter. We hope that this event would be useful for our dear participants. Thank you. I will explain at the end of our event. Back to you, Ms. Zahra.
The topic is the capacity of infertility treatment in Iran. We have almost all assisted reproductive technology in Iran. We have multidisciplinary team working in endometriosis in Tehran, in some provinces in Iran. We have multidisciplinary team working in oncofertility preservation. As you know, the number of the women or men who suffer from cancer is increasing now, and we need a multidisciplinary team working to benefit them from the future, to have a future in a child in the future. We have sex selection in Iran, social fertility preservation, and the high quality of ART treatment and affordable cost of infertility treatment in Iran is another capacity of infertility treatment in Iran. And most important, Iran is the only Islamic country in which donation and surrogacy program are practiced. These programs have been accepted and approved by degrees from clergy scholars.
The first question which you have put it before me is the history of the infertility in India. Actually, there is a WHO data and also All India Institute carried out a survey, population-based study, which basically shows about 10 to 15% of the nation, they are having some kind of infertility. The things are more flexible. We don't have a very rigid, although it is being, the ethical things absolutely being followed. And it is also, as I said, the tariff, the cost for any ART cycle is basically a pocket-free, friendly services. Advanced facilities offering excellent services, yes, it's there. It is already, we are having that same. And medical tourism destination, I think we have to encourage maybe sometimes the exchange. Maybe there are some failure cases from your country, from Iran, where they don't get success. They can come to us, and maybe ours also they can come. I think this type of thing will be benefiting for the countries. You may be asking about the techniques, what is used in India. Yes, it is basically we are having all artificial insemination, then aspiration cycle, assisted hatching, ICSI, blastocyst culture, COS, which is not anymore COH, and cryopreservation, vitrification, and these are the technique which ultrasound guided embryo transfer is being done. Fetal reduction, which is done not by us, by somebody else, the sonologist. And assisted hatching, through implantation genetic diagnosis. Do I need, and no, the latest thing is IVM, in vitro maturation. Still it is experimental. It's very few cases being done as a service, especially good for the PCO patients. TSA, of course, donor, there are centers which they do, I don't do much. Surrogacy, yes, is available, but there are no agencies which are registered with the government. But the law is very, very strict, because now the latest bill on ART and surrogacy is mentioning that the surrogate woman should be related, which has made it very difficult for the couple. But still it is in the transit, is not been approved yet by the government. So this molecular thing, pre-implantation genetic testing for other molecular problem, not for the gender.
I'm Dr. Harun Latif. I'm a clinical embryologist and CEO of one of the leading IVF centers here in Lahore, Pakistan. In Pakistan are only in the private sector. The government hospitals or the government healthcare is still not providing any ART treatments in their government healthcare system. And that becomes a huge, huge challenge as far as the socio-economic conditions are concerned in the country. On the socio-economic status of the couple seeking infertility treatment in Pakistan, as I mentioned, that Pakistan is a developing country, and a large population of the country belongs to low or middle class. So what happens is the cost of treatment in the country ranges between around $3,000 to $4,000 US, I would say. It varies from clinic to clinic. This cost includes the cost of drugs as well as all other services. And this is the cost for IVF-ICSI treatment cycles. As far as IUI is concerned, IUI is fairly cheap. It can be performed. The cost is around 150 to although there's no direct regulatory authority regulating ART in Pakistan. However, the Healthcare Commission, which is the overall regulatory body, do regulates it. And the basic rules and regulations that the ART clinics have to follow are governed by what the Sharia law applies as far as ART is concerned, in which the treatment can only be offered to a married couple, number one. We don't have any provision to have any sort of sperm donation, egg donation, or embryo donation procedures. We cannot do that under any circumstances. We are not even allowed to do oocyte donation if a person, if the male partner has two wives. So between two wives, we can't even do that. It has to be just couple only and no third person. One thing that we are allowed to do, which is not done globally, is we can choose the gender of the child through PGD, PGT, and the basic rule that revolves around that is that it can be offered to a couple who has a child or children of same sex and they want to balance their family or in a way complete their family, so they can opt for.
Now, my name is Selim Şener. I'm working in my own private lab for almost 30 years. The last 20 years is in the same clinic. We own this clinic as well. 4 doctors together, we've been working. I'm one of the first IVF person in Turkey. My age number is quite large according to the international data. It's 6 in Europe, 19 in the world. As well, we all know that the record is in Japan, and again in the world, probably USA, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, goes this way. So, okay, how we do IVF in Turkey? We have a national insurance system. This system pays up to 3 cycles. It's free, but only a few clinics, actually, private clinics, can do that. Most of the clinics we can work. This service is available are government clinics, state hospitals, and university clinics. Most private IVF clinics do not support social insurance system. And of course, the patients, the women age should be between 23 to 38. If they are older than that, okay, or if they have a child, okay, they do not have this potential possibility. In Turkey, surrogacy, gamete donation, sex selection, they are not permitted. All other things, PGD, PGS, embryo freezing, testicles tissue freezing, everything is available. What do you think about?
Well, we have got familiarized with the ability of India, Pakistan, Iran, and Turkey in the field of ART and infertility treatments. As you are aware, the untreated infertility problems lead to family issues and even divorce of the couples. But fortunately, the medical progress and systems of these countries have been able to solve most of the infertility problems for many couples. In this situation, we as medical facilitators or medical doctors in the field of fertility should be hand in hand in providing the infertility services which are not operated in our country with respect to legal and religious beliefs of nations and countries, and hand it over to our colleagues in another country to provide these services to solve these problems. In this situation, we as medical facilitator and medical provider in some cases can solve the problems of the couples who are facing difficulties and under mental and social pressure and stress due to infertility problems. For example, treatments like egg donation, like sperm donation, embryo donation, gender selection, PGD, PGS, and especially surrogacy is allowed and legal in Iran. TebMedTourism company with the brand name of Flight to Treat is fully ready and qualified by authorized systems like Iran Health Ministry, Iran Foreign Ministry, and other authorities to provide the mentioned infertility treatments to couples and increase their chance of having a family. It's worth to mention that the initial treatment process and the follow-ups will be done in their own and home country.
Let me open up my camera too. So actually I have a question to the participant from Iran. As we all know, there is a difficulty when it comes to gamete donations, like egg and sperm donation. So how do they solve this problem? Because as far as I know, Islamic rules are very efficient in Iran. For example, Turkey normally is a like country. There is licensing here, but some of the rules, and most of them actually, are based on religion as well. For example, one of the reasons against sperm donation is not permitted here. Normally there's no religious effect. There should be a religious effect according to general Turkish Republic system. But the religion is always an important factor when the governments make decisions. So, I mean, how do they solve this problem? I mean, because they started donation, sperm donation, okay, and sex selection, everything is permitted there. So maybe you can tell us, the health, Ministry of Health, the responsible persons. Okay, obviously, this is not against Islamic religion.
Right. Okay, Dr. Ali, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, of course. Dear Dr. Salim, in Shia religious, it's regarding the fatwas of the two most powerful marriages in Shia, Ayatollah Sistani and Ayatollah Khamenei, in Iran and Iraq. It has been allowed to, in order to continue the lives and the lives of couples, it has been allowed for surrogacy, for egg donation. So, in some special circumstances, regarding the doctor who is treating these couples, it would be allowed, and the birth certifications will be issued with the intended parent's name. We have a complete research in this field in, for example, surrogacy in Islamic countries or egg donation in Islamic countries, view of point of Shia, Sunni, or Muslim countries. There are good information. I can say most of Shia marriage accept these processes for in order to solve the problem of families, and for Sunni marriage, in some cases they accept, and but most of them do not accept. We have guests from, for example, Oman or Pakistan or India who were Sunni. They ask their own, the person who they accept him for religious issues. They for example, comment some issues. For example, they say you should sign a mot or act with the egg donor, for example, or you should. It's just formal. It's no relation will happen. No other aspects that you may know. So it's solvable as we see. It's solvable for different countries.
Do you have a special fatwa or a law or any regulation for that, or there is no regulation but you can do it? For example, government put some regulations. For example, in Turkey we have very strict. It's not a law, but a set of rules, let's say. So everything is is clear. So you can do this, you cannot do this. For example, to be able to work in an IVF lab, you have to have this kind of training. Everything is very strictly regulated. In my opinion, this kind of strict rules should not be done because, when you make rules, so sometimes you never anticipate what's going to happen in the future. So you actually bind yourself. So it's difficult. For example, is it the same in Iran? Or because when we started many years ago, there was nothing in Turkey. We used to do IVF, and we just did whatever it fits us according to our ethical concerns. But then government rules started later. For example, this against sperm donation also is forbidden by the rules. And it wasn't like that in the past, many, many years ago. So do you have a set of rules like that or nothing?
Yes, Doctor. In 1362 Iranian calendar, which means 28 years ago, Iran lawyers in Sena accept that these processes are allowed. And after 2 years, in 64 Iranian years, finally it had been issued to do. So regarding Iranian rules, governmental rules, and religious rules, it is acceptable and is done. The reason that it has not been so much popular is that they are multifactorial. For a surrogacy, you have signed official contracts, you should find surrogate, you should set many things. You should observe the surrogate for 9 months to avoid any problems. In this field, we as a facilitator of health care, especially in infertility, take action and start our duty. It is not provided by clinics.
As I mentioned during my talk, that for us, most of the patients who are coming in for treatment from other countries are overseas Pakistanis. So obviously, we also use the short protocol. Generally speaking, we prefer that the patient comes on the second or the third day of the cycle directly. Before coming, we can do the preceding tests and basic investigations in their home country. If they come on the second or the third day of the cycle, they complete the cycle in about 10 to 12 days, as we know that. However, we have had excellent experience, like most of the other labs around the world, with frozen embryo transfers. We feel that our results with FETs are much higher as compared to when we go for a fresh transfer. So that becomes a slight challenge for patients who are traveling, obviously. In this case, we provide 3 options to the patient. Obviously, one option is to have a fresh transfer in the same cycle and freeze the rest of the embryos. So they can just stay for 12 days or 14 days and then just go back. Second option is that we freeze the embryos, the couple can travel back and can come at a later stage in 1 or 2 months' time and get the transfer done. Only the female partner can come alone, or the couple, if they like, they can come together. And the third option would be that in most of the cases, the male partner has to travel back because of work, business, or whatever it is, and the female partner stays back for another cycle, spend some extra time with the family, and then get the frozen embryo transfer done, and then travel back.
Is it allowed in, for example, India, Turkey, Pakistan, or even Iran? I'm asking Dr. Firuze. Is it allowed to use frozen embryos or frozen sperms or eggs which are shipped from overseas countries for the same couple? I mean, the man has a problem that could not travel, so they freeze their sperms and put in a tank and provide to the clinic with a certified letter. I want to know if it's for the same couple. I want to know if it's provided and possible to do in your country. Thank you.
So if I may take the lead. In Pakistan, obviously, the regulation allows it, and there's no concern. We can transfer. We can use the sperm or even oocytes if needed. However, because there's a concern around it, if one of the partners is not there, so we do have special consent forms in which it is explicitly mentioned the whole process. And for instance, if one of the partners, if the male partner is not available at the time of the treatment, whether or not the sperm has been transported or not, or at times we do sperm freezing and the husband is away while the actual treatment is going on. So we do, it is allowed, but we do it with special consent forms for these particular cases.
Yeah, and in Turkey it's possible too. But it's not an easy task. It costs them a lot of money because most of if they're coming from England, United States, those kind of countries, they want a specific paperwork when you accept this sperm and everything. They have to have specific permission from the Ministry of Health. So it takes some kind of paperwork. It's not easy for the clinic, but it's possible.
Thank you. Dr. Firuza, you can speak now.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Dr.
Do you have me?
Yes, you can
Good
proceed.
evening. Yes, okay. Good evening. Yeah. Good evening. About the tuberculosis question, yes, we can store the sperm or egg in the Iran clinic, and the man, for example, return to his country, and the women stay in our country and use her husband's sperm. It is legal, but there are some document and paper should be passed between the patient and the institute.
Okay, Doctor, thank you for your answer.
Thank you for your answer. Now, the next question.
In Iran, sex selection is legally accepted, and most people want to have the male one, but it is accepted, and many people want to do and select their own sex in their family. It is accepted in our country.
Okay. Dr. Salim?
No, in Turkey, sex selection is not permitted. So, for example, even for prenatal tests like CBS amniocentesis, the sex is not identified in the genetic labs reports. They say only the sex chromosomes are normal. They cannot state boys or girls. But if it is widely done, on the other hand, because as I told you, when you put rules in the past, you don't know what's going to happen, how you can bind your hands. Because PGD is permitted, and we do PGS, we do chromosomes. Okay? So what happens? You get a report. But that part is closed. So you know the sexes of the embryos, but you don't know